This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Today's episode is brought to you by Will You Wear a Mask, I Ask? This new ebook written by the creator of Animaniacs, Tom Ruga, is available right now as an ebook on Amazon. In the spirit of green eggs and ham, this rhyming picture book features a grocery clerk trying to convince a defiant customer to put on a mask before entering the store. It's a great book that's perfect for the entire family. You can find it right now over at amazon.animaniacast.com.
And welcome everybody to a Dragon Con episode of the Animaniacast. And welcome everybody once again to the Animaniacast. This is the only podcast out there that's dedicated to the animated series, Animaniacs, as well as other little shows such as Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky and the Brain, and Freakazoid. And here we talk about every episode of the series. We give all the cultural references and gags that we can talk about and think about. But today is a very different episode because today we're going to be giving our thoughts, impressions, and just reactions to the Dragon Con Animaniacs panel for 2020. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
Dragon! Dragon! Dragon!
And across the country in Georgia, it's Kelly.
Will somebody please stop this man from yelling dragon?
Well, there we go. So I'm glad we were able to figure out an Animaniacs reference for that. The dragon.
The dragon. The dragon.
Well, anyway, we just all sat down in our separate states because Nathan is once again in California for the moment. He's going back and forth between Arizona and California.
It's a long drive.
California. It is. But he drove all the way to Los Angeles to watch the virtual Dragon Con from Atlanta.
And then I found out I wasn't even in Los Angeles.
I know. Well, Kelly was much closer. Kelly in Atlanta, of course, Dragon Con being in Atlanta.
Yes.
And Kelly, you've been to the real Dragon Con a few times, right? Like the actual in-person one?
Yeah, some like 26 times or something like that.
You know, just something more or less.
Once or twice.
Once or twice.
You know, a handful of times.
I know. I've been seeing, Kelly, your social media posts about you're missing out on having fun and with everybody and doing all the fun stuff that you usually do at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I was trying to be, polite, yes, but just drinking. But how have you been able to take in any of the virtual panels other than this Animaniacs one at Dragon Con?
Yeah, I'm not feeling so well this weekend. I've got like a toothache and sinus issues, so I haven't, I'm just kind of laying around, not even feeling like watching too much. But I did watch part of a panel yesterday, and now I forgot what the panel was. Hold on. You can edit this part out. Golly,
there's no editing in this episode. There's no editing. We got to get it out.
You have to edit some of it?
No. I'll tell you what, while you're looking at that, this is what we'll do. Instead of editing, I fill in the time. So I'll tell you a panel I saw for a few seconds, which was about buttons and about how to make medieval times dresses. And I was like, well, that's
I thought it was going to be like Mindy and buttons. And
No.
I was like,
I
really?
No, okay, I remember what it was now.
Okay.
It was Kevin J. Anderson and Brian Herbert talking about Dune. And
cool. Like the movie that's there's a movie coming out, right?
Well, it was really more about the publishing side of it.
Aha.
But there was a little bit about the movie. I didn't watch the whole thing because, again, like I said, I wasn't feeling very well. And I knew most of it anyways. But they were talking about a new book coming out about Duke Leto. And I don't remember the publication date, but that's, they're trying to get a lot of interest in that, to coincide with the new movie. And I think
yes.
the trailer is supposed to be out, was it this week maybe, for the new version of the film.
Oh, there we go. So there's a lot of, there's like their main entrance room they have, and then they have a separate one where it's the fan panels, and then they had another one which was kind of like best of the past of Dragon Con, which was. And
did you look at the Star Wars trivia questions?
I did a little bit, and I backed out immediately because
I noped out of there.
I was like, no.
And I won it twice in past years, but I've been retired for about a year or two because it's like I just can't keep up.
They asked, "What's the name of the Jawa that's inside the cantina?"
Isn't it Het Nikik?
Sure.
I looked at that one too, and I was like, I think I actually know that one because that would be from. Well, I don't know because that's from Tales from the Cantina.
The Mos Eisley Cantina. See,
yeah,
I haven't read that in 20-something years
anymore. So
yeah, and exactly, and I haven't even read it in 20-something years. So it's like, why would I?
I remember all the stuff from 20 years ago because I studied the heck out of all that. I had no life in high school, so I would reread the books, and I put the movies on audio cassette and listened to them in my car.
Wow.
Until I had them memorized. So, but I don't have time to do that with all the new movies. I'd have a job. I don't have time.
Speaking of having no life, let's talk about the Animaniacs panel. No, kidding. Trying to think of a transition. Let's get to the Animaniacs panel. Because there were, I think a lot of people like us were thinking that there's going to be some, maybe there'll be a trailer or at least like some footage or another picture of them or something. And no, there wasn't. There was, and honestly, I'd gotten word a little beforehand that there wouldn't be. However, it does look.
Dragon Con's never really the place. We don't get.
You don't get that
release stuff. I don't know why,
but it's so funny because Dragon Con is one of the biggest cons in the country. You'd think that they would give some.
I'll say
it has a reputation as a fan con, though, like made for fans, and not. Media organizers.
It's a wild con. That's all I hit.
They call it Mardi Gras for geeks.
Yeah, so so no new content for this this panel. However, there were some questions, and I was told
questions. No more questions today.
Listen, Wally Lama, you stop it. I did get a report though from one of our sources that there should be, unless something goes horribly wrong, there should be something shown in New York Comic Con, and that's in October 8th through 11th, I want to say. So
you'd hope at least a month before they'd have something to show.
To show us before, like, hey, this thing. So let's kind of go over. I wrote some notes down of the things that they talked about, and we're unfortunately can't really show it, play any audio or anything like that of the con because, as Kelly was pointing out, Dragon Con's very stingy when it comes to this stuff. And if you want to actually hear the audio and stuff, I believe they actually want you to subscribe to their little Dragon Con service.
We'll just reenact the whole thing.
But I think it's on sale. Like if you buy this weekend, I think it's only $10.
Yeah, it's only $9.99. Yeah, so you can rewatch all the different panels from Dragon Con. So hey,
including Animaniac.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go over some of the things right here that they talked about. The first question, really out of the gate, dealt with Slappy Squirrel. People wanted a question went to I think Tress MacNeille, and they asked her, what can we expect from things like will Slappy be on and this and that, and Tress immediately kind of shot it over to Rob, saying that hey, you were talking to the producers about Slappy, weren't you? And do you know if Slappy's going to be on? And so that kind of speaks to me that they don't know if Slappy's going to be on, which we know Slappy is not at this point.
I mean, like, it's safe to assume she's not going to be on.
She's not, definitely.
We definitely know that she's not going to be voiced.
Yeah, Sherry Stoner hasn't stopped in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sherry Stoner, by the way, has just done a new Curious George project I saw her posting about, which was very cool. I think on the Netflix movie, I think that she was the head writer for. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's something. She's keeping busy with the Curious George monkey stuff. But
there's still a chance they could have a drawn animation of Slappy make a cameo in the background.
Yeah, they basically said in a couple questions dealing with Slappy that they're kind of separated, and the world of animation is kind of weird. Where, as far as they know, things like Rob specifically mentioned things like Goodfeathers, Rita and Runt, and Slappy as maybe, but they were all kind of, Tress went back to saying that she thinks that they're going to be focusing on them, meaning the Yakko, Wacko, and Dot for now. And as they move forward, who knows? Which is what we kind of knew already. But it was nice to get that confirmation right there that, Slappy won't be there, but maybe soon. We'll have some more news about that in just a little bit, or the possibility of that, I should say, in a little bit. They went on to talk about there's lots of new stuff to lampoon, specifically the internet, celebrities, and politicians. I think they've come out pretty much as talking about how Trump is very easy to lampoon for the show, and you would expect Donald Trump to be made fun of. And I think on other panels, not this one, but they've, on previous ones, they've mentioned things like the Kardashians, which, that would be an easy celebrity target. I thought it was kind of interesting, though, with the show now coming out in November, and we were originally thinking at one point even it could come out in the summer, that Trump could be a lame duck president by the time that episode
it's going to be after the election. We'll know one way or the other.
It's so funny. It's like, wow, that it really could have been a little, if they could have just got that a little bit faster, maybe it'd have been whatever. But
well, it's like if you go back and watch Saturday Night Live reruns, Dana Carvey is George Bush. It's still funny. It's still funny.
Or even Animaniacs reruns. You watch those, Bill Clinton or Ross Perot.
And
it holds up.
And that's what they did say also, is that funny is funny. I think Jess was saying a couple times, it's like, hey, the funny is funny and the show's funny. So that's good.
And like, if you don't get the reference, 20 years later or something, like, it's like, it would still be funny. Like, there's so many things in the original Animaniacs, Hearts of Twilight or something, where you don't watch, you didn't see the original. It's still funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's so many different things that you watch and you go, oh, okay. You just laugh because it's funny, and then you get to really laugh when you get it more. One of the first question to Maurice, talking about the show's writing, and I thought it was kind of revealing. He said that Brain is a little edgier. He's a little grumpier. He's upset that he still hasn't been able to take over the world at this point.
It's been 5 years and he hasn't taken over the world yet.
Yeah, and
like mice don't even live that long normally. So
yeah, and I think what was it in one of the comics, Nathan? We revealed that they were only 2 years old or something like that in one of the comics or something. So I don't know. This is such a weird show. Anyway, but Maurice did say that he was at first a little uncomfortable with the writing of Brain, but it's just a little bit edgier. But he's okay with it now. Maurice he was making he's like, I don't think Brain would just say he would actually give a little quip here, like, yes. And then they actually worked with that, and which that was nice to see too. A little later in the panel, they mentioned that the writers, specifically Will Leslie, has been very open to feedback from the actors, and he says, I think it was Rob said that Will Leslie took him aside and said that I love intelligent actors. So,
and then Tress says, can you point me to one?
Yeah. So it was nice.
Do you know of any?
Yeah. Do you know of any? But, most of them, like Tress was saying, all of them been saying it's really easy to get back into the groove of getting into the saddle. I thought there was a cute moment where they talked about their first recording together as Pinky and the Brain. And they didn't work this out ahead of time, but Maurice came to work wearing a pinky shirt, and Rob came to work that day wearing a brain shirt. So it's just really nice to see they mention each other as, family, and you really get that sense from this panel, if anything, just how close all these folks are with each other, and that was nice to see. They did say about most of the audio that they've recorded has already been done for the show. There's been some ADR, either from home, or there has been a few things where they actually have to go into the studio to record a few additional lines, and there's lots of precautions and everything like that. And Rob had a very funny line saying that that urine samples really, that's a difficult thing. And Tress said, "Oh, that's why I always bring a clean one." Good stuff with those two. They did mention the one thing that I thought was interesting, that Rob's been doing the updated Nations of the World stanza at the end, and he'll sing it a drop of a hat, and he'll sing it just as well as the original. And I thought of two things when I hear him sing this. Number one, Kelly, you got more lyrics to memorize now.
Oh Lord,
I know. But
wasn't that the same version that he's been singing for a few years now?
Yes, yeah. So I know you've had a few years to work on it. I still don't understand why you haven't done it yet. So
I have a job, I have a life.
Well, get to work. No, okay. But the question was, will that be on the show? And they said yes. So I kind of think like, well, that'll be kind of interesting to see now. Actually, now that I think about it, because we're so used to the traditionally animated Yakko. It'll look kind of weird, I think, in my head if they essentially redo it.
Yeah, I think they would have to they're going to have to do the entire song again, which means they'd have to reanimate the whole thing.
Yeah, with that new style, with their new style, which is basically the same, but there is a difference, and there's a new style of animation. So it'll be interesting to see, if that is, I don't know, if that has the same amount of energy and stuff. I'm just curious to see what that looks like if they do in fact put that entire thing on the new show. Let's see. They did talk about music. Music is Tress MacNeille said music is fast. It's still very Animaniacs-y or whatever she said. There's no breathing. There's no breathing allowed. There's lots of words. And there's no rap. It sticks to more of a classic feel, not a pop song or anything like that. So that was nice to see. They talked a little bit about the music and how it really felt like the original, and that's again something we've heard from our other sources that talk about how important music is to the new show, which I think that is very encouraging. And there's even a few, I think, musical episodes coming out. As well. They talked about in the panel about some of their favorite episodes, and Rob had mentioned that the one that he likes the most of Animaniacs is Les Misérables, even though he's not in it. And Jess said that there was an Animaniacs musical episode that he really liked. Let's see. And really after that, there was not really much new stuff to talk about. There was a few fingerprints.
Not new to us, at least.
Yeah, that's true. Nothing of
we're kind of in.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of this stuff beforehand, but nothing of real note that there's just a lot of great stuff when they just talked about the panel in general, like their favorite episodes of the classic series. The 65th anniversary special was looks like it was Jess's favorite. Maurice LaMarche said that his favorite was Hooked on a Ceiling. Yes, and Bubba Boba Brain.
Those are amazing.
For Pinky and the Brain. Yeah, those are great.
Okay.
Yeah, which we already knew that though, because of course he did a little stinger for us a little while ago as Michelangelo, saying, "This is Michelangelo. This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of Michelangelo from the best episode of Animaniacs."
He really
Hooked on a
is.
Ceiling. It was nice to hear that and just their admiration for the original series.
Speaking of on the ceiling, can we go ahead and talk about what else Rob said?
What else did he say?
Well, they were addressing, people liking or not liking the new reboot or not being very excited about it, and what their opinions were about that. And Rob says 2 words. I got 2 words for you: Steven Spielberg. Mic drop.
Mic drop. Yep. Jess did the mic drop, hand gesture as soon as he said that, and it's true. And they also basically said, you also don't have to watch it if you're not interested in the reboot. We'll certainly be watching it. Good, bad, or in between. We'll be watching each episode, and it'll be one thing I wish I put out, which they may not even know the answer. Is I just want to know if they're going to have all those episodes drop at the same time, or if it's going to be a weekly thing. Earth to Ned just came out on Disney Plus, and
all of them
at once, which I think I watched a few of the episodes already, and I think it works really well as a bingeable show. But another part of me says, like, I kind of wish that they held off and did it 1 per week.
I think what they could have done is put 3 out at once and then do weekly after that.
Kind of like The Boys, like with Amazon.
Yeah, that's what The Boys is doing. I think that's a good idea.
That's a good idea, you kind of you piecemeal.
Get your little binge going, but then also now, and you actually
tell your
build
friends.
Up excitement too, because everyone starts talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I don't know. Hulu does it both ways, I think, don't they? Or do they? I honestly don't. I'm not a big
done
fan of Hulu.
Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale is weekly, but then other shows and
it's a kid show, so who knows?
I think they're probably going to drop it all at once.
Yeah, it's a kid show, so they're like, get your kids busy, just pop this in front of your kids and all at once. So I'd
we'll have a busy week when it comes out. We got to record them
all at once.
No, I have a job. I have a life.
Nope, Kelly, take a week off.
Nope.
And then we'll be set for 3 months, so then we don't have to record again.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about just one more thing here. One thing I thought was cool, I just thought I'd mention. I really liked how they took the time to mention the writers' names of the original series each time when they were going over some of their favorite episodes, and how I just really appreciated that, because I think, too many times fans just kind of assume that they just improv everything. And these guys, all 4 of these actors are fantastic improv folks. But of course, it's very important to know that the writers who gave them those words need some credit as well. So I thought that was nice. But let's go ahead and talk about just a couple more things before we wrap it up. We got a clearer, it's still not like a good scan, but somebody went ahead and took a picture of that Animaniacs poster that's hanging up in the Warner Brothers Animation Studio, just in their lobby or something, and sent it to us so that we could have a clearer view of this poster. Because every now and then we get these pictures of people who just went there and they're 20 feet away from it, or their head is blocking some of it because they're not really trying to take a picture of the poster. We were asked not to share the poster picture online. So we won't do that, but they didn't say anything about us not kind of describing what we see.
Yeah, let's
right?
talk about it. Let's tell.
Okay. So we
show
already,
with our words.
Yeah. The magic of words. Okay, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, we know we've seen them on that poster, jumping down. Pinky and the Brain, they're jumping down. Ralph is on the top of the water tower with a net up there, looking a little bit different, but, kind of the same. There's 3 other figures on this tower. One of which...
we've never seen before.
These are brand new characters. One of which we can assume is probably in more than one episode, and that is the new CEO of Warner Brothers. It's not Plotz anymore. It's this female CEO. She's Latina, and she looks very angry. You do not want to mess around with her, apparently. So that's one character. She's looking right down at him. There's 2 other characters, though, that as far as we were told, they're not on more than one episode of the series.
But that's still like 10% of the first season or something.
Exactly. It's an episode. There's a guy on top of the tower. It looks like he's singing, perhaps. Not really sure what he looks very happy, and he's singing. And there is another person, and some people thought it was Dr. Scratch and Sniff. Some other folks thought that blurry image might have been Hello Nurse. It's neither of those. It's it's a guy who's like 3 times as big as the other characters on that tower. It's a big muscly guy.
He looks like he's like naked almost.
Yeah, he's wearing like a bodybuilder Speedo. But that's about it. And I think we just lost Kelly.
I think so too.
Oh,
but
well, we'll keep going.
Wacko has a sandwich, which is very in character. And you can see their tufts of hair and everything. So, that's there you go. I mean, not. I was kind of a little disappointed I didn't see Dr. Scratch and Sniff on that tower. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just really muscly and.
Well, for what we've been told, that the muscle guy and the guy on top of the tower are only in one episode each. So, I would not
and neither
expect...
one is apparently Dr. Scratch and Sniff. So I don't know.
Well, just a few other things real quick. Oh, this is interesting. I guess some bad news, good news, perhaps. We've gotten word that more animators and writers have recently been fired off of the reboot. Why that is, we don't know.
It sounds like bad news. But
it sounds like bad news. Well, maybe they weren't good. I don't know.
I guess.
but they, and who knows the way that things restructure and everything. The good news, however, is that it looks like there will be a 3rd season of the show coming up. Hulu is apparently, quote unquote, our source says, all in on this reboot. And
so, I don't think anything's officially been signed yet, but
no,
if there's interest, it usually follows with actual happenings. I don't know.
So that should be good. That should be that's a good sign that the content that we're getting is going to be good enough for Hulu to say, give us more.
Yeah, and that gives a chance for, say, like a Slappy.
Exactly.
Or something,
so even though we may not get that hashtag Slappy in 2020 may not come true, but maybe Slappy in
2022.
Yeah, Slappy in 2022. Let's do it. Change that hashtag. Slappy in 2021, 2022, something. Come on, people. It could still happen. I think honestly, that was encouraging. That was perhaps one of the most encouraging things from the panel was just hearing that people really like that character and they don't want to see it go away. I hope the executives were listening to this panel, because there's people want to see more Slappy. I know I do. And more Skippy. Let's get Nate Ruger in there too.
Yeah, we got the perfect plot for it already.
Exactly.
So we'll write it for them. We'll record it too. I bet we can get
yeah, exactly.
the recordings of Sherry Stoner and Nate Ruger.
Well, that was pretty much it. But any final thoughts from the panel? Nathan, let's start with you. Any
Rocksteady and Bebop are not going to be in the reboot,
yes.
Which is very upsetting.
Perhaps my favorite question of the panel: would there be any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossovers, specifically Bebop and Rocksteady? And they all said no and laughed.
It's the quickest answer.
But it was good to know that Bebop and Rocksteady, very disappointing.
Finally confirmed. They couldn't confirm Slappy, but they can confirm this somehow. I don't understand these things.
I don't know about these. I think they're trying to throw us off the trail. I think there's Bebop. I think it's going to be the Bebop and Rocksteady show. Let's go to Kelly. Any last thoughts about today's panel?
Well, I thought it was neat to see Tress. I don't think I've ever seen her with the others in an interview or anything. So that was really neat.
And she was so funny. Yeah, I agree. It was nice to see Tress in there too. I want to see Tress at more conventions in the future so I can get her autograph in person. Well, I think that'll do it for today's episode. So we'll wrap it up, and yeah, let's get to it. Sorry, folks. This is a different way. We're usually getting the Water Tower ratings and everything. We don't have a Water Tower rating.
5.
Okay, how many water you give today's panel 5 out of 5 water towers? Okay, good.
Sure.
Let's get to some contact information. Nathan, where can people find you online?
Joey, I'm on Twitter, JingoFT. That's me.
And Kelly, what about you?
Hi, I'm on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or email me, Kelly at BigShinyRobot.com.
All right, and as for the Animaniacast, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything else. I don't know, YouTube. Subscribe to us on any podcast player you got. Leave us a positive review on Apple Podcast or whatever. We always appreciate those and love to read those on the air. And hey, you could head on over to our Discord channel. You can get a welcome link by going to discord.animaniacast.com, and that'll take you right on over to the Retro Zap Discord group. We're a proud member of the Retro Zap Podcast Network, and there's great podcasts and content from Retro Zap every day of the week, so you should check that out. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animaniacast unless otherwise indicated.